And they swore they would be here. I walked in.
We should be out there so the cars.
We're actually not allowed to be, so because we have to keep the sidewalk
The
clear.
policeman was, that's why the policeman was looking at me.
Yes, that is why the policeman was looking at me.
All right. This is Nora. This is Nora. Nora Spellman. This is Kathy's daughter. Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to have to go round up.
We should go inside.
Okay, guys, thanks for coming. I know it's cold, and I really appreciate everyone being here. My name is Lisa. I'm one of the founding members of the Greater Red Bank Women's Initiative. This is kind of a free-flowing event. We may have speakers who come later. If you feel the need to come speak, please do. And in the meantime, we're just going to hold up signs and make our presence felt in the community. So thanks everyone for coming. We have some of our local leaders here as well, so that's nice to see. That's it. That's all I've got to say. If anybody else wants to come up and speak, feel free. Jim, do you want to speak now? Does anybody else want to speak? Okay, well, Jim Keeney's here, and he's going to jump into the green.
No wall, 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 no wall.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy President's Day. I think it is fairly apropos that we are all standing up and speaking out on President's Day because we know that the current president that is occupying the White House is violating the very Constitution upon which our nation was founded. This is not normal. What we are seeing is not normal. Just to break it down, for everybody to understand in the most simple terms, our president made a promise to his rabid base that he was going to build a wall. And we've heard him say it over and over again at his rallies during the campaign, and since he's been in office, build the wall, build the wall, build the wall, claiming that we have some kind of crisis on our border. There is no crisis on our border. A crisis is thousands of people dying each day through the opioid crisis. A crisis is millions and millions of Americans not having health care and having to make choices between paying their rent or buying their medicine. A crisis is the fact that CO2 levels have shot up through the last 200 years to the point where we are threatening the very existence of the human race and our planet. People who are leaving their homes because of violence and seeking asylum at our border in a nation that has welcomed immigrants since its founding is not a crisis. So the president wanted his wall. He wanted funding for his wall. Our now Democratic House of Representatives, good work everybody, made sure that he did not get that funding. So now he is looking to go around them by exercising these emergency powers. And this is very dangerous territory. Historically, these emergency powers have only been exercised in times of war and with restraint. And even when they were exercised in those precarious times, we still saw gross violations of human rights. One example being the Japanese internment camps during World War II. So even when our nation is rallying to a cause that is just, this is still a very, very dangerous action to be taking. So the president doesn't get his funding. He knows he's not going to get his wall. He starts to violate Article 1 of the Constitution, which is what gives our Congress their powers to do what they do. And he is putting the very foundation of our nation and our Constitution at risk every day in pursuing this course of action. Now, what this will allow the president to do, there are over 100 things that the president gets power to do when this kind of action is taken. I'll give you some of the more important ones. He can seize property. He can freeze the bank accounts of citizens. He can organize and control the means of production. He can seize commodities. He can assign military forces abroad, and he can deploy them in our main streets in our towns and cities around this country. He can institute martial law, could make a gathering like this illegal, and could have our military and our police arresting us for exercising our fundamental First Amendment right to peaceably assemble and speak our minds. He can seize control of all transportation and telecommunications, meaning in one moment he could hit a kill switch and the entire internet in the United States goes off. These are the powers that the president now has and can exercise. And we have had a Congress prior to 2018 that has refused to check this president. And again, I want to thank each and every one of you here today, because I am quite sure you help us to put at least a House of Representatives in place that will check this president's power. So it isn't enough for us to stand here, although this is very important. This is deep in the American tradition of citizens standing up, speaking out, assembling, letting their duly elected representatives know that we want action. Along with this, we have to do some of the tedious work. We have to call our members of Congress. We need to email our members of Congress. Congress can pass a resolution that can check the president's power in this regard. So we need to make sure. How many people here are represented by Congressman No-Show Smith? Okay. If you want to take out your phones, I'm sure some of you have this on speed dial already. Congressman Smith's phone number is 732. All right, I'll wait. I see people digging in their pockets. Don't all call at once after I give the number. 732-350-2300. 732-350-2300. Call Congressman Smith. Let him know that you want him to sign on to the resolution that I am certain will be coming. That we want the president's powers checked. Now, what will happen next is the president will veto this. If it goes to the House and it goes to the Senate and gets to the president, he will veto it. And then it's going to be a really, really heavy lift, because it will take 20 Republican senators to jump ship and stand up against this president. And then we will really need to take to the streets. We have seen things like this happen. We watch them on the news in other countries, where millions of people occupy public squares in countries around the world. We are now in that situation. I do not say this lightly. The very Constitution of the United States of America is at risk because of the reckless, narcissistic actions of the Commander-in-Chief who holds the Oval Office right now. So today, in celebration of President's Day, we are taking up our right, our First Amendment rights as citizens of our nation. And we are standing up and we are being counted. And we are saying to the President and to every Republican member of Congress, we will continue to stand up, we will continue to be counted, because we, the people, are what make the United States of America. So in closing, please be ready to get out again. Be ready to come out in the streets again, whether it's here in Red Bank, down in Asbury Park. Make sure you're tuned in on social media for when the action alerts will happen, and get your feet in the streets, please. Number 2, how many people are going to call our favorite no-show congressman today? Yes? Excellent. How many people here are in Congressman Pallone's district? Okay, please give Frank a call. Let him know. I am sure that he would sign on to this resolution, but let's not take anything for granted. Make sure that Congressman Pallone makes a public commitment to this. And then again, we need to be ready at every turn as this thing progresses to leverage as much public pressure as we can. And it may take us not just standing at Red Bank. It may take us organizing buses and heading down to our nation's capital to stand in the mall and let not only the legislators in Congress know, but every citizen around the world that the people of the United States demand government that is of, for, and by the people. Thank you very much. How are you? Good to see you. Congress! Go ahead. Do your thing.
You know who I am?
Of course I do, Rita. Go ahead.
I mean.
All right. All right, are you ready to hear from one of the most amazing activists in our district? Yes? Does everyone know about Casa Freehold? Okay, if you don't, Casa Freehold is a hamlet of goodwill and social justice that is doing both advocacy and direct service work for members of our immigrant community around the district. And here today we have one of the saints, the founding saint, I would say, of Casa Freehold. Can we hear it for Rita? Go get him.
I wasn't asking for that, but thank you, Jim. And Jim is one of the wonderful people who has actually come to Casa Freehold. There are others who said they're people of their people of their people, but it's really nice to have Jim actually visit us, a real live person who's really supports the immigrants.
It's on.
Just hold it really close to your mouth and yell like you're at a football game.
I can do that. I can do it. Hear me now. Okay, and I can see so many wonderful familiar faces. And those of you who I haven't, please come over and get to know us. I would like to talk for a minute about the wall. The wall is bad. The wall is anti-life. Under no type of funding is it a good idea. Democrats have supported it, and so have Republicans. So it needs to be a bipartisan effort that it is a bad idea. Let's take a look. The Sierra Club is against the wall. Why? Because it's against all life forms. It's, our insects, our animals, our plants are disappearing around the earth, and the wall hinders that process. That's why the Sierra Club is against it. All of the Native American communities are against it. Every single Native American community is against it. Why? Because for hundreds of years, those communities have existed along our southern border, and the wall destroys them. Imagine a wall right down the middle of your own house, where maybe your family has lived for generations, and you can't even get from one side to the other of your own house. That's what the wall does to Native American communities. Likewise, to other families living along the border. It cuts down the middle of their ranches, their properties. They can't even get from one side to the other without passing through the wall. We already have 650 miles of wall. It's not like there is no wall. It's there, and it's already bad. And people are already dying because of it. And, you know, myself, as a person who has worked for the last 16 years with immigrants and refugees, every single bit of wall makes a refugee's journey more dangerous. It causes the loss of life. Refugees, people fleeing for their lives, they must choose ever more perilous, dangerous paths to get here. And they die. They die in our southern deserts. And so the wall we already have is no good. More wall is worse. More militarization, it all goes together. The wall, the militarization, we already have the safest border, you know, in the world. And the other group that's completely against it are all the towns at our southern border. El Paso, where 45 recently held his big election rally, which is what it really was, you know, it's one of the safest cities in our country. So, you know, saying that it's not safe is simply a lie like this. So there's no good reason, and I think it's so important, along with everything else, to come together, just like saying this, hold that up high, you know, no wall. Let's all say it. No wall. Okay? That's it, you know? No wall. So, you know, it is not partisan. It is just a bad idea. So please, please help with this no wall. And we say, you know, el pueblo unido jamás será vencido. The people united will never be defeated. So that's what we have to do. Just as my friend Jim beautifully spoke. Thank you, everybody. Please come and visit us at Casa Freehold. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm here to speak not so passionately, but a little more pragmatically. We're looking at...
A little bit closer to your mouth.
We're looking at...
Who are you?
my name's Marianne. How are you?
Hi, Marianne.
How you doing, everybody? Okay. We had an imperial president in 1968 who won again by a landslide in 1972. He also turned out to be a criminal. And we also now have an imperial president who knew going in that there were going to be bipartisan talks, and he immediately put down those talks, showing that he has no interest in Congress, no interest in partisanship. His State of the Union was a joke. I didn't watch it. I don't know. I watched Leave It to Beaver or something. But, a little more serious, Leave It to Beaver. They had the real problem. So, I just wanted to tell you all that this is not normal. In the Constitution, the Congress holds the power of the purse, and we cannot let this maroon overstep the Congress, the Constitution. And my point is, I'm wearing this sign because I do have Republican friends. Okay, I do have Republican friends, and I feel bad for them. I feel very, very bad for them because they are supporting an imperial president in 1968. I believe it was Barry Goldwater who went to Nixon and said, you don't have the votes and you don't have mine for impeachment. So my problem is that Republicans always said that they want a smaller government. Well, these Republicans are standing behind an imperial president who is a king and who is taking everything on himself, thus taking on the whole government himself, making the federal government the larger of all three branches. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kate Trigiano. I'm a councilwoman here in Red Bank. I'm lucky enough to be. Thank you. It's awesome that everybody's here today in this cold weather to defend our democracy. I'm happy to be joined today by my fellow councilwoman Kathy Horgan, who's also here from Red Bank. And it is my honor and true pleasure to introduce Senator Vin Gopal.
Thank you. Let's hear it for Councilwoman Trigiano and Horgan. They do such a great job in Red Bank. Thank you all for coming on such a cold day, and to the organizers. If you remember when the now president, was running for office and I saw the sign, I loved it. Mexico was going to pay for the wall. Do you remember all those people on the other side of the aisle who were complaining about the national debt under Obama? They were saying it was going into billions and billions of dollars. And meanwhile, we have a national emergency right here at home. Gun violence occurs each and every day, and when we have a 16-year-old gunned down in the city of Asbury Park and we still don't have universal background checks, how that's not a national crisis is beyond me. So we need to remind people that we are on the right side of history, we are on the right side of public policy, and we are on the right side of so many things that are important, that no matter who you are, where you're from, what your age is, what your religion is, what your race is, what your sexual orientation is, you deserve to be treated with respect, you deserve to be treated with dignity, you deserve to be treated each and every way that you or I want to be treated. And that's what we need to do, is send the message to the White House, because we have a president that clearly has no respect for so many of us. I fear to go on Twitter to see what he's saying about her, who he's saying about her, about anybody he disagrees with. Can you imagine any of our past presidents, Republican or Democrat, acting the way he's acting right now? It's disgraceful. We can't have disagreements on public policy with mere respect for each other as human beings. So thank you for all being out here. Thank you for what you're doing. Remember, everybody deserves the opportunity for a great future. We all deserve the opportunity to have an even playing field. Nobody deserves an advantage, and we all deserve that opportunity. So instead of going after employers who demonize their employees, who treat and get incredible benefits from the federal government, we're going after people who are just trying to make a decent living, and that's wrong. So thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for being out here.
Thank you.
No problem. And we have legislation right now in the Senate that says that I'm proudly sponsoring, that if you want to appear on the ballot here in New Jersey, you have to release your tax return. So we're going to hope that gets through the Senate. Thank you so much. Kate?
Good. She wants a picture.
Is no one else going, or? I'm sorry, one thing, because I was reading all the people commenting on the Asbury Park Press. It's not that bad. You guys can all come out here. We're happy to have a conversation with you, all the folks that are trolling and really upset that we're out here with our First Amendment rights. So you're welcome to come out. We'd be happy to talk to you guys.
Yes.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho,
Go in.